first, it looked like just another abandoned backpack. Worn, faded, half buried in the snow near an old wooden bench. Nothing unusual. Nothing that would make you stop and stare. But the police dog wouldn't stop barking. He planted his paws into the frozen ground and refused to move. His handler called him back once, then twice. The dog didn't listen. He barked and barked and scratched and whined like something inside him knew that something inside that backpack was running out of time. And when they finally opened it, they couldn't believe what they found, because something inside was still alive. Welcome back, everyone. Today's story comes from a quiet, snow-covered park in the heart of Colorado, USA. On a Tuesday morning that most people would forget by noon, that something happened that Officer Daniel Hayes would never forget for the rest of his life. Before we go any further, if this is the kind of story that stays with you, take just 1 second to hit the like button. Tells us you're here, and it means more than you know. Share this video with someone who loves animals. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we put out new stories every week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. And one more thing, drop a comment below and tell us, where are you watching from? What city, what country? Because these stories travel far, and we love knowing how far they go. Now, let's go back to that cold Tuesday morning. It was 6:47 in the morning. The sun had just barely begun to rise over the mountains in the distance, casting a soft gray-pink light across the park. The kind of light that makes everything look peaceful, makes everything look safe. Officer Daniel Hayes had been doing this route for 3 years. Every weekday, sometimes weekends. Him and his K9 partner, a Belgian Malinois named Rex. Rex was 4 years old, lean and alert and impossibly focused, trained in narcotics detection, search and rescue, and suspect apprehension. But to Daniel, Rex wasn't just a working dog. Rex was his partner, his shadow, his best friend in a uniform. They had been through a lot together. A building collapse search in 2022, a missing hiker case up in the Rockies, 3 drug busts in 18 months. Rex had never once let Daniel down. That morning started like every other. Daniel parked the patrol car at the north entrance of the park just before 7. Rex jumped down from the back seat, shook himself awake, and pressed close to Daniel's leg as they began their slow walk through the empty grounds. The snow from the night before was fresh and undisturbed. No footprints on the path. No dog walkers. No early joggers. Just the sound of their boots crunching in the snow, and the occasional whistle of wind through the bare trees. Quiet morning, Daniel thought to himself. He pulled his jacket tighter. Rex trotted beside him, his breath forming small clouds in the freezing air. They walked the east path, then circled around the fountain. Frozen solid, a thin skin of ice over the water. Then they turned toward the central area of the park where several wooden benches sat arranged in a small half-circle around a large oak tree. And that's where the morning stopped being ordinary. Rex stopped. Not gradually, not slowly. He stopped the way a car hits a wall. Sudden, complete, absolute. Daniel was 2 steps ahead before he realized Rex wasn't beside him anymore. He turned around. Rex was standing perfectly still, his 4 legs planted in the snow like anchors, his ears pinned upright and forward. His eyes were locked on something near the nearest bench. Daniel followed his gaze. There, half buried under a thin drift of snow that had collected against the bench leg overnight, was a backpack. Old, dark green maybe once, now closer to gray from years of use. One of the shoulder straps was torn. The zipper pull was missing. It looked like it had been there for a while, like someone had simply left it, or lost it, or thrown it away. Daniel took a step toward it, and that's when Rex started barking. Not a low warning bark, not a curious whimper, a full, urgent, insistent, relentless bark. Loud enough to echo off the trees, loud enough to disturb the silence of the whole empty park. Rex, easy. Daniel kept his voice calm the way they trained. Rex didn't ease, not even a little. He barked again, and again, and again. Daniel approached the backpack slowly, the way you approach anything unknown. With caution, with attention, with your eyes wide open. He crouched down in the snow a few feet away. From the outside, the bag looked empty, shapeless, deflated, like it was holding nothing but cold air. He reached out and unzipped it halfway, looked inside. Darkness, a bit of old fabric, maybe a blanket or a shirt, bundled inside. Nothing obvious, nothing dangerous, nothing alive. He stood back up and looked at Rex. "There's nothing in there, buddy," he said softly. Rex looked back at him with an expression Daniel would later describe as pure disbelief. And then the dog went back to barking. Louder this time, more urgent. He scratched at the snow in front of the bag. He whined between barks, a high, desperate sound that Daniel had only heard Rex make once before, during the search for that missing child 2 summers ago. It was the sound Rex made when he knew, when he had found something real, something that mattered. Daniel felt something shift in his chest. He crouched back down. This time, he opened the bag all the way. He pulled the fabric bundle toward him, gently, carefully, and he felt it. Something moved. The fabric shifted in his hands, just barely. A tiny, almost invisible tremor, like a heartbeat trying to remember how to keep going. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He pulled the fabric bundle out of the backpack fully, cradling it in both hands. And then he heard it, the softest sound in the world. A sound so small it barely existed. A sound so fragile it seemed like it might disappear if he breathed too hard. A whimper, tiny, thin, barely there. Daniel looked down at the bundle in his hands, and he pulled back the edge of the fabric and looked inside. A puppy, a small, cream-colored puppy, maybe 3 weeks old, maybe less. I still sealed shut. Paws no bigger than a quarter. Body shaking, not from fear, not yet, but from cold. From cold that had been working on that tiny body all night long. The puppy's mouth opened, and that small whimper came again. It didn't know where it was. It didn't know what had happened to it. It only knew that it was cold, and alone, and still somehow breathing. Daniel stared at it for a moment that felt much longer than a moment. Then he looked at Rex. Rex had stopped barking. He was sitting in the snow, completely still, watching Daniel hold the puppy. His tail moved once, slowly, like a quiet exhale. Daniel later said that he didn't think about what to do next. He didn't calculate or plan or hesitate. He simply reacted the way you do when something in front of you demands it. He tucked the puppy against his chest, inside his jacket, close to his body. He zipped the jacket halfway up, leaving just enough air. He could feel the puppy trembling against his ribcage. Could feel how cold that tiny body was. Could feel, underneath the cold, impossibly, miraculously, the soft flutter of a heartbeat. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay, I've got you." He radioed dispatch. His voice was steady, the voice of a trained officer, but the words came out a little rough. "I need medical assistance and animal control at Riverside Memorial Park, East Bench area. I have a very small animal. Hypothermia. Needs immediate care." There was a pause on the other end. "Can you confirm? What kind of animal, Officer Hayes?" Daniel looked down at the small warm weight against his chest. "A puppy," he said. "Newborn, approximately. Someone left it in a backpack. It's alive, but just barely." He walked quickly back toward the patrol car, one hand pressed flat against his jacket, feeling for the heartbeat underneath. Rex ran beside him. No barking now. No drama. Just the quiet, purposeful trot of a dog who had done exactly what he was supposed to do. Within 11 minutes, an animal control officer was on scene. Within 17, the puppy was in the hands of Dr. Miriam Castillo at the Colorado Springs Animal Emergency Center. Dr. Castillo estimated the puppy had been outside in temperatures that had dropped to 14 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. She estimated it had maybe another hour, maybe less. "Another 30 minutes in that backpack," she told Daniel later, looking him directly in the eyes. "And we wouldn't be having this conversation." The puppy, a female, they discovered, a golden retriever mix, recovered over the next 2 weeks under round-the-clock care. She was bottle-fed every 2 hours, kept in an incubator, given the kind of slow, patient love that only someone who works in animal rescue truly knows how to give. Daniel visited every day. Rex wasn't allowed inside the medical facility, so he waited in the patrol car each time, patient and calm, his nose pressed to the glass. When the puppy was finally healthy enough to leave the clinic, Daniel adopted her. He named her January, because February had found her, but January was the month she should have been born into warmth, into safety, into someone's arms. She got there late, but she got there. Today, January lives with Daniel and Rex in a house near the foothills. She is loud and clumsy and completely convinced she is a large dog. Rex treats her with a patience that Daniel didn't know dogs were capable of. He lets her sleep on him, lets her chew his ears, lets her win every single game they play. He found her once, and now he takes care of her, every single day. Daniel was interviewed by a local newspaper a few weeks after that morning. The reporter asked him what he thought would have happened if Rex hadn't stopped. If the dog had just kept walking the way Daniel wanted him to. If he had simply obeyed his handler and moved on. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "She would have died, and we would have walked right past her and never known she was there." The reporter asked him what he learned from all of it. And Daniel thought about Rex in that park, about those planted paws, about that relentless, desperate, refusing to quit bark, about the way Rex looked at him when Daniel said, "There's nothing in there, buddy." Looked at him like he was wrong, like he was certain he was wrong. And Daniel smiled and said, "I learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to walk away, even when everyone tells you there's nothing there. Even when the whole world looks empty and cold and quiet. You stop, you plant your feet, and you bark." That morning in Colorado Springs, a dog saved a life, not with strength, not with speed, with stubbornness, with certainty, with love. And because of one dog who refused to move, January got to see the spring. Heroes don't always wear badges. Sometimes, they have 4 legs and a bark that just won't quit. If the story stayed with you, share it, subscribe, leave a comment below, tell us where you're watching from, and go hug your dog, or your cat, or whoever loves you loudest. They just might be saving you every single day.